We all want to be remembered after we pass, and I think we all want to leave a legacy of some kind behind. But what if the greatest legacies that we leave behind, they don't have our name associated with them at all? What if your being and my being is forgotten after we're gone and not to be remembered ever again? And what if that was okay? In fact, what if that was actually how it was meant to be? What if our time here wasn't meant to be remembered or celebrated in the future, but rather this lifetime and our actions and our devotions and everything we do in this precious time here? What if all of that was our humble offerings to the altar of this world and to the generations still to come? What if we didn't need that ego boost of being remembered? What if it was just okay to give ourselves to this life, to live a great adventure of loving fiercely, giving ourselves wildly, and doing everything in our power in this lifetime just to move things along a little bit, to give the generations that are still to come some shoulders to stand on, to make this world that we've inherited a little cleaner, a little clearer, a little more human, a little more natural, so that when the future generations come into their adulthood and into their power, they have something to work with that's even more than what we've had to work with, even more functional and even more supportive than what we have been able to work with in our lifetimes. What if it was enough just to give ourselves and to know that we are part of a great continuance? Our lifetimes are part of something that's been going since the beginning of time. And all we can do, even if we give our absolute utmost, is just continue this great dream. And maybe, if we're lucky, if we give everything we've got, continue it in a way that makes it just a little bit better. For me, that's how I live my life. I'm okay to not be remembered. When I finally pass, I don't need my name in any history books or remembered by any human beings. I'm going to drift off knowing that I gave everything I had in this lifetime, and that my offerings to life on earth and to my human family, that they really were enough. So let's let go of this idea that we have to be remembered. Let's rest into this idea that our greatest legacy is just in our continuing, in our humble offerings of this lifetime, giving everything that we can. One of the things that I've loved about legends throughout my life is that the names of the characters in the legend aren't necessarily the same names of the beings that inspired the legends in the first place. In fact, they get contorted and changed through time many times, but the legends still hold the message. The legends, the myths, they still hold that echo of something real, something human. They are a legacy unto themselves. But the original inspiration for those legacies, the original inspirations for those legends and for those myths, we don't actually know that story. We've forgotten the names of the beings that were right there at the very beginning of it all. And over thousands of years, those names continue to change and evolve, and that's a really special thing, actually. So what that tells us is that our legacy doesn't need our name attached to it, that we can leave behind a really beautiful influence that can touch future generations for actually, literally thousands of years to come. But we have to let go of this idea of our name being associated with the story, that our name is actually not the most important thing about our lives. It's not the biggest thing in our contribution to life on earth, but rather it's our story. It's the story we leave behind. It's the character that we play. It's the role that we take within our human family that anchors something into our collective psyche. And even though our individual might be forgotten, the name that we each carry might be forgotten, the role that we play within our human family and on earth in these times, that anchors into the collective unconscious. And that is a story that gets remembered through time. So you get to ask yourself, what is the story imprint that your life is leaving behind on the collective unconscious? And if 1,000 years from now someone was to tell a story about you and your life and how you spent your time here and the deeds of your days here on earth, what would that story be? And what's the unique kind of love that you poured out of your being onto the world in your time here? And even though your name and my name won't be remembered, that love becomes an echo through time. And if you ask me, that's enough.